The scenario of Armageddon. The center photo is Armageddon, or the Valley of Jezreel bordering Megiddo. Bible prophecy reveals that just before God sets up his kingdom of earth, huge armies will converge in this Valley of Jezreel, adjoining the hill of Megiddo, or Har-Megiddo in the Hebrew language. They will then converge on Jerusalem to fight the furious Antichrist, or a supreme Soviet Russian dictator, victorious forces returning from Egypt, and occupying or laying siege to the holy city. This king of the north in Bible prophecy is Gog, the prince of Rosh, or Russia. The supreme Soviet dictator forces will try to invade Israel and the Middle East, but will counter another king, the king of the south, which is the Egyptian forces, probably led by the United States of America, the military supporter. The Battle of Armageddon, as it is commonly called, will escalate with the inclusion of two new invading forces from the opposite directions, the west and the east. The first one is probably the armies of democratic Europe, led by Great Britain, that will constitute the allied forces from the north and west. While the second one is China and the Asian armies that will enter Israel from the east. An example at this was flat plain of Jezreel before marching south to liberate Jerusalem from the great Soviet dictator's occupational forces. Finally, all the world armies, misliked by the Antichrist, will even fight the returning Christ from heaven. Incredible. The valley of Kidron outside Jerusalem, here Christ will vanquish once and for all the world's armies resisting his glorious second coming to set up God's kingdom on earth. The world at war and the armies of Armageddon. The news from the north in Daniel chapter 11, verse 44, that will trouble the supreme Soviet dictator in North Africa is probably the allied forces led by Great Britain's Royal Navy Task Force. And the news of the east, same verse, or the kings of the east of Revelation chapter 16, verse 12, is the Red Army of China and the Asian war machines. Bible prophecy revealed that when the red Soviet dictators turned back from Egypt furiously after hearing this disturbing news from the east and the north, Put, or the Libyans, which is Colonel Muammar Gaddafi's Libyan hell squad of 1,000 tanks, will follow at the feet of Soviet Russia together with the Kushims, or Marxist Ethiopia's people militia. Ezekiel prophecies in chapter 38 and 39 include Persia, or the Iranian army corps, Gomer or Cimmeria, that is Germany, and Togama, which are Turkey and Armenia. These anti-Semitic nations, as we have known from history and current events, are all included as Russia's allies in this last great battle of Armageddon. the Antichrist acts and atrocities. The future is already foreshadowed by the present and the past. If you are still unconvinced and skeptical that the Antichrist is a future revived Soviet Union or Russia, gaze and gape at these photographs until you do. In Revelation chapter 13 verse 3, the Apostle John prophesied that the red beast's power shall be great, but it will not be by his own power. For the dragon, that is Satan the devil, gave to the beast his power, throne and authority. Richard Wurmbrand is a persecuted Christian who himself was tortured for Christ in communist Russia. He is a voice for the suffering church behind the Iron Curtain, and he has extensively researched on the origin of Karl Marx thoughts. He discovered that Karl Marx, the father of communism and the author of Das Kapital, the book that influenced Lenin to introduce Marxism and communism into Soviet society, that Marx was in actual fact a Satanist or a worshipper of the devil before he wrote this monumental book that scorned all religion as the opiate of the people. Daniel chapter 7 verse 21 and 25 reveal that the Antichrist or the Red Beast will persecute the saints of the Most High and shall make war and gain victory over them. He shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Daniel chapter 8 verse 24. And he will command the world #1 military power, and this power will be incomparable and unmatched for. For in Revelation chapter 13 verse 4 asks this question, who is like the beast, and who can make war against it? Examples of the red beast might are the superior Soviet tactical missiles, the thermonuclear submarines, and her large 125mm gun armored tanks, the T-72. His power shall be mighty, Daniel continued to prophesy, and he shall honor the God of fortresses, or military defense, truly a strange God unknown to his fathers, a new God unheard of before, for he shall worship and serve military weaponry literally. He shall destroy wonderfully by his God of nuclear weapons. He will speak a sounding thing against the God of gods. This picture shows Truth anti-Christian poster pasted in the USSR to brand and ridicule Christianity as a superstition fit only for the senile and old to prevent the young from becoming interested. See the Russian Orthodox Church converted under the Soviet regime into a factory. In Daniel's prophecy of chapter 11 verse 31 we read, by him, or the Antichrist, the daily sacrifice were taken away, and the place of his sanctuary were overthrown. He further clarified that he will not regard any God, for in verse 38, he is an atheist, for only a Marxist or a hardline communist who opposes all religions and God. And the Antichrist's ultimate act is that he will proclaim himself to be God, according to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4. There is no God, for I am God, he will say. The Red Hitler and the Wars of Armageddon, or World War III. The ancient prophecies of Daniel chapter 11, verses 29 to 12, verse 4 to 5 reveal the future most accurately to the minutest detail. We can even now have a sneak preview and watch future history unfold. The last great battle of Armageddon will start abruptly from phase 1, codenamed Red Thrush, with the first abortive attempt by the Antichrist, or the Russian army chief commander, to invade Israel and overrun the Middle East. Phase 2, he will encounter some difficulties, as the ship of Kittims, there is the US naval presence in the Mediterranean basin in Cyprus, will come against him. In phase 3, the king of the north will retrieve momentarily, but his forces will occupy Israel, which has now fallen to him. And phase 4, the king of the south, or the United States of America from Egypt, will try to butt at his forces from occupying Israel.